place where it is easy, appropriate, and comfortable for you to do so, please close your eyes and take some slow, long, deep, relaxing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. We picture ourselves on top of a beautiful mountain in the center of a circular grove of trees. In the center of our circle, a bonfire blazes forth, lighting us and the grove up with a sacred golden light. We recognize that this is the light of perfect love and perfect trust. It easily and efficiently burns away everything that is unlike itself, leaving us safe and serene. Into this sacred space, we invoke the presence of our Creator. To many of us here, our Creator reveals themselves to be a mother and father, a god and goddess. Into this sacred space, we also invite the presence of our angels, our teachers, our guides. We dedicate the time that we spend together to one another and to them, and we ask that they guide us and lead us as we walk upon the way, helping us to become happier, more peaceful, more prosperous, more healthy, more wise, and more loving people. Thank you very much. And if it's appropriate for you to do so, you can join me out loud in saying the words, "Blessed be." We are still discussing the 8 qualities of the divine, and these are qualities of the divine that are often called the names of God, especially if you do psalm magic. We have Hebrew names of God, there's Greek names of God, there's all kinds of sacred names of God that are used in magic, and those are important things to use. But on a much more esoteric level, the name of something really means its nature. And so we are talking about the qualities of the divine, which are also called names of God. You can find out more about this in our basic angel magic course. This is a part of lesson 6 of our angel magic course, but we are really just expounding on each of those qualities, one per week. And this week we are working on the divine quality known as life. Divine life, the power of life. The divine is not simply a provider of life. It is life itself. Life is found wherever the divine is present. And wherever the divine is present, life exists. The connection with the divine means that your own life is intimately linked to the divine. In fact, you are an expression of the divine. If you want to thrive in this world, lead a fulfilling life, have the prosperity, the health, the purpose that you want, it's important that you find that connection to the divine called life. Now, on the Hermetic Tree of Life, the quality of life is on sphere number 6, and its corresponding archangel in our system is called Michael. So when you are dealing with the powers of the sun, the powers of sphere number 6, also known as beauty, or sometimes known as glory, and that's a little bit closer to the truth, I think, is calling sphere number 6 glory. Those are under the direction and guidance and teachings of the Archangel Michael. A lot of times people experience a very limited sense of vitality, and that causes aging, health problems, depression, all kinds of things. And that's a direct result of them not experiencing their connection to the divine quality known as life. It's not something that you should be ashamed of if you get sick, or if you are tired, or if you're prematurely aging. It's not about feeling bad about yourself. It's just that you don't know any differently, because this world doesn't teach us, oh, you should invoke the quality called divine life. Have you thought about Michael? Did you know about sphere number 6 on the Hermetic Tree of Life? You don't hear about that. You just hear about how, oh yeah, that's how life is. Life is hard, and everybody's dying, and everybody's getting old, and you should be tired. Rather than feeling like there's some sort of personal failing if you're feeling tired, instead, think of it as a call from your inner self to invoke the quality of divine life. Invoke that divine name and allow that divine life to permeate every aspect of your body, your mind, and your affairs, and call upon it. Invoke it regularly, letting go of your own false beliefs about life and about yourself and your relationship to life is an inevitable process that occurs by invoking divine life. When you call upon divine life, everything that's not like divine life in your subconscious mind comes up so that you can choose whether you want to keep those thoughts or whether you want to release those thoughts. Very much like water, when you put water in a dirty dish, the water gets dirty. It brings up all of that gunk so that you can have that cleansed. And so divine life, similar to infinite love or divine love, brings up everything that's not like itself in order to heal you. As you invoke divine life, allow yourself to consider when a belief system is presented to you, do I want to continue with this or do I want to let it go? There's immense happiness that comes from recognizing who you are as an extension of divine life. You know, there is no such thing as death, ultimately. We think death is the ending of life. But death is a way of changing form. If you think about a tree and all those leaves die, and what do those leaves do? As they die, they decompose. And what does that decomposition do for the tree? It fertilizes it. It serves life. Anytime there is a type of body or form in nature that dies, it then becomes, or has the potential to become, something that supports new life. And so when we recognize that when forms die and bodies die, that doesn't mean life is dying. And there's every bit of proof that you need in nature to know that that's true. So when people die, it's very normal to be sad. Of course, we mourn death. We mourn the loss of being able to be with that personality in the physical world anymore. But they're not the exception to nature. They're a continuation of every other kind of experience of death, and that is that their body died in order to fertilize their next way of being alive. There's immense happiness that comes from recognizing this and recognizing that we have a divine part to play and that nothing can really kill us. Yeah, the body can die, circumstances can die, relationships can die. Things that are in this world, they're subject to death because this is a world of death. But in reality, that death is nothing more than a servant to life. And if we recognize that and we realize that, and we really allow ourselves to internalize what that means, then great joy is a result. We are not so fragile. We are not so subject to fear. When Jesus said that death is the last enemy to overcome, if you recognize what death really is, you're no longer afraid of it. It can't scare you anymore because you know that death always has been a servant of life and always will continue to be a servant of life, and that life itself can't die. The divine expresses its joy with enthusiasm. The sun is very enthusiastic. The sun makes people feel good. When the sun comes up after a long storm, it brings great joy. And that sun is a symbol of life. You know, the sun spat forth all of these planets that then became in orbit around it and allowed for particular environment on this earth so that our life forms could thrive. And so that's why the sun is such a powerful symbol for life for us, and why it has been for many cultures throughout history. And so just the idea of that solar light that emanates from that sphere of the tree of life, number 6, is a reorganizing principle for us. Because you think about how the sun organized the solar system. It all came out of the sun itself. So the sun represents an even greater principle, because that's just one of many suns in our universe. But there's one life for all, and that is in the Psalms called the Lord, but it's really pre-gender. It's not a masculine force. It's the life force itself. It's the fountainhead of all that exists. And that's what we are connected to. That's what we have access to. We don't have to have some sort of special clearance to have a relationship with that force. So the divine expresses its joy through you, or wants to. So when we're experiencing sadness, or we're experiencing defeat, or we're experiencing anything less than pure joy, it's an opportunity for us to look at how we may be turning our attention away from that divine life, which is who we are. Who we are. We are divine life. That's you. Think about what that makes you feel when you just really realize that there's one life force in the entire universe, and I'm a direct expression of that. Fear tends to cause us to withdraw and to become restricted, whereas knowing the truth and knowing what life is, we automatically want to expand. And this is true for all human beings. When we have a mind that is stayed on infinite life, when we invoke the concept of infinite life, when we invoke the force of infinite life, we don't have anything to fear, because nothing can destroy infinite life. Infinite life is constant. Anytime you say, I can't do that, or I can't afford that, or I'm not good enough, nothing ever works for me, you are declaring that you want to be separate from divine life, that you want to turn your back on divine life. Instead, you can invoke the presence of divine life in the presence of those fears, in the presence of those discouragements, in the presence of those ideas that you are less than, or that you're not up to snuff. When you invoke divine life, then all of a sudden you have that courage, you have that desire, that willingness to be, do, or have whatever it was that you thought you weren't up to the task for. Invoking divine life is the catalyst that can overcome all of your own pessimism, all of your own limited thoughts. Our limited thinking is a habit we got into a long, long time ago as human beings. And those thought forms are created by a habit within the human mind that we call the ego. And the ego is simply a need for us to carve out our own personality that's separate and distinct from the divine, because we're wanting to prove that we're separate. So when you are trying to prove that you're separate from the divine, then you're trying to prove that you're separate from any of the qualities of the divine. So to prove that you're separate from divine life is to prove that you're not alive, that you are vulnerable, that you are less than, that you aren't up to the task, that you are tired, that you are defeated, you're not good enough, all of those kinds of thoughts. But divine life doesn't see it that way. Divine life doesn't see you in the way that the ego wants you to believe that you are. Divine life knows who you are. You are an expression of divine life. There's no attenuation of divine life. Divine life doesn't have degrees. It's not like, well, you're a little bit alive and you're more alive. You've got lots of life. You don't have lots of life. That desire to attenuate life, to have some sort of volume control in how much life you're experiencing, that comes from us. That doesn't come from life itself. That comes from the ego that has snowed us and our whole species for so long that we only get a little bit, that we're only allowed to have a little bit of life, and it only lasts for so long. We used to believe that there were so many heartbeats that you could have, so you don't want to do too much exercise because then you're going to get rid of your heartbeats too fast, right? There's people that still believe that. Not to live too much because you need to conserve your energy, you need to conserve your life. That's not how life sees things at all. So we don't want to let those thoughts run rampant without at least questioning them. And that's what happens when you invoke divine life, like we said earlier. Those negative or limiting beliefs come up so that you can question them and say, do I want to keep these or not? Because how you believe things are going to be will be the lens through which you see things. No matter how many times infinite intelligence tries to prove that you're more than good enough, You're not going to see it that way until you are willing to let go of the belief that you're not good enough. Invoking the divine has the potential to heal illnesses and depressions and premature aging and all manner of discouragement, all manner of failure. Wherever you feel like you're a failure, wherever you feel like you're less than adequate, invoking divine life has the ability to heal those things. And like we said several times now, when you do that, it will enlighten you as to what those beliefs are that you're holding about yourself so that you can let them go. Think about the healing power of the sun. And the healing power is not only limited to human beings. All life forms are available to be healed by divine life. Plants and animals usually respond to treatments like this more than humans because they don't have a strong sense of ego. So as you start to experiment with healing people and animals and plants with this idea of invoking divine life, recognize that sometimes forms do need to die. So for instance, if you have a pet and you notice that you can heal them by invoking divine life, you don't want to keep doing that past their life expectancy because you don't want to unnaturally keep something or someone alive when they want to go. Eventually you can't, but you really can prolong things if you're not careful. So it's wonderful to want to heal, but sometimes our desire to heal another is misguided. And so it's important to know when it's best not to try to heal things and not try to heal others and really focus that power on our own selves. But it is possible to heal pets. It is possible to heal plants. And yes, it's possible to heal people. And we can do all of those things. And we are to do all of those things. In fact, you can do an experiment. If you have a garden or houseplants, let's say you had 2 houseplants. You're going to water and feed and get the right sunlight. But in addition to basic needs, you're going to shower the other plant with love. You're going to invoke divine life into the other plant. You're going to call forth the power of divine life in that other plant. And notice the difference over several weeks of how one thrives against the other one. They both have the bare necessities needed for thriving, but when you invoke divine life as an actual principle into one of those plants, you'll see how much more vibrant and alive that other plant is. A lot of us face challenges with things like motivation. We just don't feel like getting up. We're so depressed sometimes that we just don't even feel like getting up out of bed. We want to do just the bare minimum to survive, and then we just don't have the energy or the enthusiasm to go any farther. Now that's a direct result of our own ego thought system that wants to resist life at all costs. And when that happens, you can invoke the presence of divine life. You can call upon Michael, or if you don't like the idea of using an archangel, just the abstract divine name called life. You can invoke that regularly into your life and notice the enthusiasm returning back to you. Notice the desire to make positive changes in your life starting to return to you, and your relationships start to thrive again, and your energy starts to become much higher and much more focused. Invoking that divine life also increases our own ability to interact with our inner guidance and intuition as well. Because a lot of times when we don't have divine life flowing through us, we don't even care what our internal guidance is saying. We just care about bare survival. So when we call upon divine life, when we invoke it, when we invoke that divine life into our experience, everything wants to shift. Everything wants to change. Everything wants to spring forth. Then we get the light shined on all of the beliefs that are causing us to want to avoid divine life. And we can then choose whether we want to continue believing those things or whether we want to let them go. Invoking divine life on a regular basis, daily basis, leads to profound personal and professional growth. It really unlocks a deep source of inspiration and creativity. It aligns us with our purpose, and it sparks breakthroughs and a sense of fulfillment. Connecting with this divine life through invocation every single day helps us to discover our true function, our purpose here, the meaning in our lives, and how essential we are. We're not wastes here. We're not excess here. Each one of us has a very specific function to fulfill. And as you invoke that quality of divine life, that function becomes very obvious. As a result of connecting with divine life and understanding your function, you discover not only your true purpose and meaning, but discovering those things helps you to find an inner peace about everything. Because you realize why you're here. You're not here to be afraid. You're here to make a difference. You're here to thrive. You're here to be alive. And it doesn't matter what's going on in the world anymore. It doesn't matter what's going on in your interpersonal relationships or at your job or anything in the external world. None of that matters because you know that when you invoke divine life, all of that is reorganized. You don't have to worry about it. Because everything gets reorganized so that it starts to conform to the divine design of your life, because you are invoking the power of divine life. And that's what that solar light is all about, that emanates from sphere number 6 on the Tree of Life. Just imagine for a minute that maybe you were in an elevator or a bus or something like that, and it was real crowded, and everybody in that environment is tired or worried. They can't wait to get to where they're going. This is just such a moment that they want to rush through. And in this situation, start invoking the presence of divine life. Just keep doing it silently to yourself. And notice that you can watch each person around you as you keep it up start to change, and the results start to happen as divine life is invoked in that small space, and people's expressions change, and the way that they hold their bodies change, and the way they start to breathe changes, and the kinds of things they talk about change. Somebody starts to smile maybe, another person looks more relaxed and at ease. And before you know it, this entire crowded situation starts feeling and looking very, very different than when you first came in. You don't want to dismiss this experiment until you try it for yourself. You're not trying to impose your will upon a group of people. You're just doing another experiment like you did with that plant. What happens when divine life is invoked into a situation? How do people respond to it? And when you notice how influential divine life is on a situation, you realize it's not that my personal will was being involved here. I wasn't telling them to have this experience or that experience or the other experience. I was doing nothing but invoking divine life into a space and then noticing how people responded to that divine life that was called forth in that space. It's a fascinating experience. I encourage you to try it and notice how much power you have to make a difference no matter where you happen to be. It's very challenging sometimes to be in this world that is against life. But once you realize that it's all just one invocation away, you will allow yourself to have that experience of being the person who invokes divine life in any situation. And not only do you notice the improvement in your own experiences, but everybody around you benefits from it as well. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.